Hey
Yeah,
guys,
I've
so
heard from
I was
anyone
running a
else.
little bit late. I've been running and rushing. Excuse me. That's like my entire life now is just being in a hurry. But thank
Well,
you
good to see
guys.
you, Jefferson. So good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for sitting with me on Beyond Trek podcast. It was like at the last moment, I thought, let me send an invite out to other fan film creators just to see, hey, who's sitting around that's not doing anything in the next, in 30 minutes from now.
Well, Steve is
Um,
family, so it's perfect.
Thank you.
right. Yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, Steve. Thank you. And I'm going to keep my eye on the guest thing here also, just in case any others drop by. But so we're sitting down with George Kayaian, and we're talking about the finale to Starship Antyllus. And I'll have to admit, I did kind of drag my ass a little bit on watching it because I knew, it's right there. It's the last one. But then when you watch it, that's when it settles in. Like now I watched it. It's real. The whole Odyssey is over. So I just wanted to tell you that amazing work as always with that. There's a whole lot that I have to say about it and want to talk about, of course. But for anybody that just woke up today and became a Star Trek fan or a fan of Star Trek fan films, George, why don't you give us a quick introduction? Just tell us who you are and a little more detail on what is it exactly that we're talking about here today.
My name is George Kayaian. I'm the writer, director, creator of Starship Antyllus. I've been a fan filmmaker since 1991, where I had my original trilogy. And then starting in 2013, I came up with this new series. And I guess today we're going to spend time on the very last episode, the conclusion to the saga.
And that is, now, if I was counting correctly, this is episode 30.
Yeah.
Was the last one. And you started this. Tell me again, how long ago was it that you started?
I wrote the basic story. By the way, if I sound a little foggy, I'm battling a little bit of a cold.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. 2012. I wrote the outline. I had the story pretty much down, but it didn't go into production until 2013. And then, of course, I expected it originally to be 10 episodes long. That was the original plan. And meeting people, well, like Steve and stuff in the community, people were coming out of the woodwork. I never contacted people. Hey, we got another one. Hey, hello. People were contacting me saying, hey, can we be part of your show? So I had to figure out a way to stay faithful to my story, but also welcome other people, expanded it. And so it went from 10 episodes to 20 episodes. And then eventually I realized I needed to kind of get back to what my original plan was. And so I said, you know what? 30 is nice, like 10 episodes a season, and then I can wrap it up. If I needed more time, that wasn't a problem. If I needed 40 episodes, the only pressure would be on myself. I didn't care. I just wanted to tell my story. So that's sort of where we're at.
One of the things that, and I don't want to occupy the whole, the whole thing. So I promise.
Talk away, man. Talk away.
I'll promise I'll give time to the guests, of course. But what I want to jump into real quick is very much a technical part of it, and a technical feat of this. And it is because your story spans such a long time. We're talking 13 years. And one of the things that I noticed that you maintained is the look, just the actual physical camera look. Because you can even go back to TNG, and if you really any series, you do a rewatch, and you can tell you can tell when they reach a point where it's like they got a bigger budget,
Yeah.
better cameras, things are a little different, kind of change. You can just see it as you go through along the transition of a show. But then on the flip side of it, you put yourself in a scenario where, okay, I want to, or maybe you didn't want to, or what was that a pre-planned thing of, I want to have and maintain that consistent look even over the years. Did you get to a point where you realized, okay, well, shit, now that means that either this camera never has to die, or I need to have an identical one? Because you can run into some logistical issues there with, I want to maintain this look, uh, 10, 13 years later, but I need to have a backup or duplicate, because gambling on any one thing, piece of equipment to not die, that's too much of a gamble. So did you pre-plan that, or was it something that just kind of, you just sort of realized, this camera just keeps working, and after about year 8 or 9, you realize, all right, well, I'm too far into it now, I've got to keep it, my style is like this, not to suddenly make it look like you've updated to 4K or UHD, and suddenly Starship Antyllus episodes are high def, and sort of goes against, not to say that what you did was low quality, it wasn't. It's just that you'd created a feel that I think would definitely have been noticed if you got a modern state-of-the-art 4K camera and went all cute with it. So tell us about that part of it.
Yeah, no, your instincts are right on the money. It's a personal thing. I like consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that if people enjoy your show, that part of the look and feel of the show is what appeals to people. Obviously, there might be people that will stumble upon the work and say, "Oh, this is way below the quality I want," and I'm fine with that. But I have a Sony Handycam that's shot in widescreen and mini DV format, going back now to 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I love that camera. I love the way it looks. I like the way the color saturation of the mini DV format is. And I knew no matter how long it was going to take, that I was going to keep that format. Then my camera at the time was in fantastic shape. A couple of years into the series, we were actually filming on location. The camera got knocked over. It crashed into the street and got broken. It got destroyed. My baby, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And I was horrified, and I realized, because the camera had always worked so good, I never even thought about replacing it. So I went online, and there were no other versions of that camera except for refurbished ones. So people had that camera, but they rebuilt it,
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh God, I'm buying something used that's been already repaired. But what choice did I have? So I found a seller, got a backup camera, and it was disappointing because every camera I think is unique. Even though it was the identical camera, its depth of field was missing. It just did not have the depth of field that my original camera did. Maybe it was a Monday model versus a Friday model. I don't know.
Right.
Then I jumped online again. Now remember, these are expensive because they're rare. It's like cost of scarcity. But I said to my wife, I said, I really need to find another camera, same camera, but in better shape. I found another seller, got a third version of the camera, and that one was closer to what I had. Not as good, but, hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then to make a long story short, as the years went by, every one of my cameras had a mechanical failure, where one camera's focusing lens wasn't able to work anymore. Another one of my cameras, the wheels, which the tape, actually functioned, to record, was shot. So I was down to one camera for one purpose, which was just playback. And then I had another camera that I could use to film, but I couldn't watch what it recorded. It was really weird. So in the end, I bought another mini DV camera, not the same one, but just one to get the footage from the one camera into my computer. It's a tiny little guy. I would never use it for filming, but
Right.
it became like my VCR, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, as it stands now, I have basically 4 versions of that camera, and they're all damaged in some way. So pretty much, I'm going to have to retire it. It's only for Antyllus, and I knew that once my series came to an end, I have to retire it. There's just no equivalent to it. I've had friends, believe it or not, just donate me the high def digital cameras. I have a Canon, a Panasonic. It's all free. They gave it to me. Like, no, use it. I won't. Not because I'm not grateful, but it looks so different. I did some experimental shots. It looked crazy. It was like watching Blu-ray versus VHS.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't do it. It was too jarring. Too jarring. So
Right.
yeah.
And you had that taste for VHS, and that's a very good analogy because
Yeah.
there is a big difference, and there are enthusiasts out there that came up in the VHS days, and there's just something about
Yeah.
a VHS tape that you cannot replicate.
It's the frame noise, basically.
Yeah.
It's the way the images are magnetically recorded, and you get a little bit of noise. But if the noise is not too bad, if the tape is not worn out, it's warm and fuzzy. That's what it is.
Blu-ray just wasn't your thing. It just wasn't for you.
No, if I do another series, for example, and I'm starting totally fresh,
Right.
then I have no problems with it. I don't hate digital.
Sure.
It's just that it was a known quantity, and Antyllus was challenging enough without me having to start all over again with all new technology. And to show you how crazy it is, my computer is 12 years old. My Mac.
What?
I'm working on a 12-year-old Mac, and my editing software is the original version of Final Cut. It's Final Cut Pro 1. So everything is analog, basically, and I just didn't want to change anything. It's all known parameters. I have pushed my technology to its absolute limit and beyond to get Antyllus done. I've tricked the computer. I've manipulated it. I've pushed it beyond belief. I've crashed a million times, but, you persevere. But that's how old my stuff is.
That is amazing.
That's awesome.
As someone that's been in IT as long as I have, to be able to have your production, your hardware locked in time like that.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
And especially a Mac.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tempting fate right there, because
Yeah,
I can maintain.
I'll turn the camera so you can see what I work on.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Okay.
So this is my original. It's 12 years old. These are my hard drives. Everything that was on Antyllus is in those drives, and that's it. And there's my camera, my last surviving camera.
There you go.
Wait a minute. Go back to the camera for me,
Sure.
if you would, please.
Can you see it?
I think I have one of those.
Yeah, that's the Sony Handycam TRV 850. They don't make them anymore, but I love it. I love.
I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% on the model of the one I've got. It's in a plastic crate in the garage. I just kind of glanced at it the other day. I still have it.
Yeah.
It's either very close to that one or similar, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Everything I shot on, and like I said, even my original one that broke, it was the exact model.
All those old timers looking at that thinking, "Oh yeah,
unified." But it shoots widescreen, which was so important to me. I know you can shoot 4:3 and repurpose the frame, but I wanted it, 16:9 from the start. So so this is my baby.
Well, you know what? If your last camera had died before you were finished, you had somebody that could have rescued you, coincidentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you know.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Jefferson. Yeah, now.
No, it's funny. I've had so many people offer, they'll do special effects or they'll send me, and I'll be like, listen, you got to keep the quality low. Don't send me, Blu-ray quality. My computer literally can't handle it. It would have to be dumbed down. The highest I can go is 1080. That's like maximum. That's the highest I can go. And which is fine. It's still HD, But but yeah, no, the reality is people are shocked when they find out what I've worked on for over a decade. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works for me. That's my motto,
totally retro. I like it. I really like it.
I'm a dinosaur. I mean, what can you say?
Well, I would like to open it up a little bit to our panel that we
Thanks, guys, for being here.
Yeah, that we ended up
Thank
having. Just for anything that's on your guys' mind, something that is
if you have any questions,
burning question. Like for me, of course, it's the how do you keep the look, and you wowed me IT wise with you were able to stay in time in this in that room for 12 years, which is amazing. So I'll let you guys.
Yeah, let Jim go first. Got any questions, Jim?
I do have a question for George. If
Sure.
anybody wants to have you on their fan film, would you do it if they send you a script?
Yeah, I love being in other people's fan films. I do. I love it. The only problem is they expect me to have like a green screen studio, and I just don't have that. That's why I always went with my practical sets. I do have like green screen paper, but it's just wide enough to get my head and shoulders in it. It's I love working with other people. It's not a problem. I guess at this point, if you see my finale, there would be a problem about my character, being in their fan film if it's beyond a certain time frame.
Right.
If it's like the Wrath of Khan era or something, I'm not around. My character is clearly not able to be part of that, that kind of thing. But if it takes place during the course of my series, yeah, not a problem.
There you go.
Well, you'd also volunteer to be another character, right?
I could do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Was that what you were asking also, Jim, or did you just have the captain in mind?
Just the captain in mind for now. I know that
I can always shave. I'm done now with my
No, I'm not. I'll trim.
George, I do have something similar than what you have, but with this green screen thing here, it's kind of a little silly, but it's almost the same thing what you have, but it's green right there.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Oh, there you go.
I might be doing a fan film with this on.
Nice.
It's pretty similar to what you have.
Yeah, a lot of people think of the Frost mask, my main villain, as the eyes wide shut guy, from that.
Yeah.
I didn't get it for that reason,
either.
but a lot of people think of it as the eyes wide shut, which is kind of funny.
That's kind of creepy now.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of times you go by your instinct. And about 8 or 9 years ago, I was actually going through a store that had different masks. I wasn't there for any specific reason. Mm-hmm. That mask caught the light. It just literally called to me. And I'm the kind of person that I don't care. Like, I wouldn't use a Darth Vader mask or anything because that's so iconic. Right. But if it could work in a new way, I said, you know what? I want my villain, who in my original script description just said he wore a mask and no one knew what he really looked like. Right. So I wasn't tied into any look. It just spoke to me. I liked the fact that and I knew that the character was going to be all body language and voice because you can't see his face, Right. So that's where that came from. I never overthink it. If my gut says that's your character, I always work that way. Right. I don't overthink it. If someone comes along later on and says eyes wide shut, I'd say I can see why you would think that, but that's not part of my thought process.
And I think that was a genius breaking of convention for Star Trek, is going the Cobra Commander route and having a masked villain like that, because who thinks about that with Star Trek? That is not something. Now, sure, there have been Star Trek episodes where a mask was involved. I'm thinking Mass, literally TNG season 7, but it's not something that you would like that jumps out. And so what you did, honestly, I've not seen any Star Trek production, whether it's official Paramount or fan production, that incorporates something like that. It was kind of like, wow, that was great what George did. Wish I would have thought of it, but it's too late now, because now anyone who does it is going to be called, copycat.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I'm sure these guys feel the same way. There's nothing you can write in the Star Trek sandbox that in some way or another hasn't been sort of done before.
Right.
The only thing you can do is be faithful to your story. Try not to be overly influenced, by other aspects. Create your own characters. And then if someone says, hey, that reminds me of, and you say, you know what, I could see why you think that, but I can look anyone in the eye and say, I was in a vacuum, literally, when I created my story. If it has elements that you might recognize from other episodes or things, unless I did it deliberately, it really did come from me. And because Star Trek is sort of unto itself, yeah, there's going to be certain kind of like things that remind you of other things. I can't worry about that. I can only try to be truthful to my characters and my story. Just like the multiverse. I'll just say this real quick. Back in 2012, the multiverse was around, but not to the level that it is now.
Right.
And about 6 years ago, I think it was, I had to really think about it. Do I want to pursue what my original idea was? Because it felt like everybody was doing the multiverse. But I said, you know what? It's too late to change now. And if somebody thinks I'm being derivative, I can't help that. So, back in 2012, the multiverse seemed a very fun and unique thing to do. And now it's everywhere. So, maybe I had my finger on the pulse,
Yeah, and I think also it's not your responsibility to make sure that not a single thing you do or say or costume or person or look has never been done in Star Trek before. It's like, I mean, seriously, really, like, all this plot element is from this series, this season, this episode. Come on.
I get that a lot, though,
Oh my God!
I get a lot. It reminds me of. I don't get upset about.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, that reminded me of.
Right.
And not so much a put down that this is like this, like that. Well, come on. There's 900 plus hours or so of Star Trek out there.
Yeah, over
the math
1,000
says.
hours, yeah.
The math says that as soon as you have somebody sitting in a chair talking, that you've copied most of Star Trek.
Well, that's the thing. As a writer, I mean, I'm sure, again, the guys in this panel know, you try to be as original as you can.
Sure.
And the worst thing is, if someone accuses you of, like, say, copying something, or it reminds them, it automatically puts you in a defensive mode, because all you can say at that point is, oh, no, I came up with this, but it makes it look like you're guilty already. So again, I have to be able to look anyone in the eye and say, I'm glad it reminds you of whatever you like. But I really did sit in the room by myself and kind of figure out the nuts and bolts of it,
Right. Yeah.
So how do you handle negative, comments on your YouTube channel?
I've been amazingly, I have been absolutely amazingly lucky in all the years I have posted videos. I have maybe received, and this is going over a decade now, maybe 50 comments out of the thousands of comments I've gotten, which were like extremely negative and nasty.
That's still a lot.
Lucky. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I try to answer them. If I feel that they're not being nasty, but they're being challenging, I'll give them an honest answer. I'll say, no, this is what, but if they're just accusing you or just being flat out, like really troll-like behavior, all you can do is delete them. Not because you don't want to leave anything negative, but what's the point? Like, it doesn't serve anybody. Right. I love criticism because you can learn from it. But in the end, like here's a common complaint. You use too many close-ups. My God, every one of your episodes, 1 million close-ups.
You gotta be kidding.
Listen, yes, I agree. As a filmmaker, I know there's establishing medium, but if you see an excessive amount of close-ups, it means that's really the space I had to work in.
It's by design.
It's by design. Yeah, I'm aware of it. It's just, what can I do? I don't work with a green screen. I have a physical set. And also, even if I had enough room to pull back, they don't know this, but I might feel the set doesn't look that good from a certain angle, from a certain depth. I'd rather do a series of close-ups, Like in my episode 3, though, that was by design. I wanted the claustrophobia of a submarine vibe. I wanted you to feel that you were trapped on the Antyllus. So being on that bridge was like being in a submarine. That was by design. A lot of close-ups, it was meant for you not to breathe. So I love when somebody goes, oh, I'm going to give you some criticism here. You should, there's a thing called an establishing shot, and there's a thing called a media. And it's like, listen, I appreciate it, but I've been doing this since 1978. I do know how to make a movie, but I also know my limitations. Now, if you look at my non-Star Trek stuff, you know, I'm all over the place, establishing shots, tracking shots, you know.
You can go outside. You can do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, with Star Trek, you cannot break the reality of what you're presenting. And I'd rather have a million close-ups than something that reveals that it's not, you know, part of the 23rd century. It's a unique challenge, you know. But I've also said to my critics, listen, it's a style choice, and you don't have to like it, but I just want you to know there is a reason behind it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that makes it a Starship Antyllus film. If you started doing wide shots and establishing and all that, that's another thing that would have taken us away from the flavor of your films. It would have been just as jarring as suddenly using an IMAX camera to film your stuff. If we had started seeing wide shots and everything else, we would have noticed. And that's I think that's a good thing that you built such a, it's almost, it was even kind of a subliminal sort of thing. It's enough that I think all the long timers would have noticed, like, whoa, why, where did this come from? Now, sure, when you're outside, naturally.
Oh yeah, you can.
But if suddenly your bridge set became a, you know, you had the kind of wide shot that like they have in Strange New Worlds of the bridge and all that, yes, that would have been noticed. You know, we were used to the, you know, right in your face submarine style.
I got invited to the professional sets on many occasions over the years. And it's not that I don't absolutely love that, but it would be so incongruous to my show. My paper and tape sets can't compete with those pro sets. And it would make no sense for me to say, if I spent a day there filming pickup shots and suddenly I'm on that bridge, it wouldn't fit. People would be like, whoa, that's weird. That's
being at Neutral Zone or Warp 66.
Yeah.
It just, great places. It wasn't your look.
No, and also I wanted my Antyllus, it's a prototype. She is unique unto herself. So I could still do Starfleet design ethics, you know, that mythos, but make it uniquely mine, you know. And then if someone like Jose comes along and they show their bridge, it works because it's a different ship. It gives, you know what I mean?
You can identify each ship individually by their setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted my Antyllus to feel, if you're a fan of the show, home. You know, like it's like your living room. You know the bridge. You know where the officers sit. I try really hard. Again, I've been doing it a long time. There is a definitive psychology to how I design my episodes. I want you to feel that these are all professional people, that even when something incredible happens to them, they got training, they got experience, and they're going to get through it somehow. That's it.
Joe, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
But I missed this. I got it at the last minute, so I had to jump up. Fantastic that you're diving into the subject, you know.
Thank you for being here, Jose. My God, you've been so amazing.
Oh, you guys are amazing.
It was very last minute. I apologize. It's just my life has been just one crazy OCD, ADHD experience for about the last year or so. And it's one of those things where, okay, I came up with this idea about an hour before I told George we were going to do an interview. And I didn't even tell him we were going to do a live stream. It was just, you know what? I think I'll just do a live stream.
Yeah.
And I'll invite some people.
Yeah.
And instead of scheduling it proper, it's like, no, let's just go cowboy and just rush and do things. But the thing is, that's kind of my life now. It's like, you know, what do you got planned for 2 days from now? Nothing, because I'm only thinking about tomorrow. Like, what meetings do I have, you know, then? But
I just wanted to say, Jefferson, Leslie Sawyer wrote in, and some of her comments are so nice. I've been so lucky and blessed to work with these people, you know. I mean, knowing all of you, that is a perk I could never have predicted back in 2012, you know, because I'm very insular. I'm just this guy from New York makes his Star Trek and then kind of puts it out there. But if there's one thing that was worth it, was meeting all of you fantastic people.
Agreed.
I mean, I'm blown away by that. I really am. And you can't predict it. I did, you know, but now you guys are like part of my film family. And I can't imagine life without you guys. It's crazy.
It really is. And that's a great thing. I think a very good quality that we have is not only are we doing something that we like to do, that we have a passion for, but we also, when at all possible, try to do things together.
Yeah.
You know, because okay, how do I be on the top of my game to do a one-on-one interview and make it interesting? Have I done it? Sure. Could I do it? Sure. But it's also thinking about, hey, I got it. Invite some of the guys, you know,
Yeah.
just see who can come in. Because now, if this were like, you know, episode 12 out of 30, probably not. So you know how
Yeah.
it is. But for the special ones, I mean, this was it. This was the last one. So of
Yeah.
course, it made more sense to try to make it, you know, more of a thing than just a, you know, usual little sitting down kind of interview.
One of the things I had to be careful about was not overthinking it. In other words,
Right.
sticking to my story, because a lot of people like Jose and Steve, they've been following me a long time. And the problem is there's expectations that are built up in the individual.
Yeah.
So ultimately you're like, you know, no matter what I come up with, I'm sure somebody's going to be like, it didn't match what I thought he was going to do with it. And I'm disappointed. So the fact that it's been so well received, that people seem to really enjoyed it and like the conclusion, that is icing on the cake. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all you can hope for. You try to be true to yourself, you tell your story, and you hope there's enough people that go along on the ride that says, hey, that was worth it. I didn't want people to feel that I've been following this guy for years and that's the ending. You know, it's pressure. I wanted to stick the landing, you know. I will tell you guys this because I'm about to release a.
You mean you didn't want to throw out These Are the Voyages type of last episode?
Well, I'm going to be putting out a wrap-up video, but I'll give you guys the exclusive. Because the reception has been so wonderful. So many people were like, don't stop, don't ever, you know. But yeah, it's time to end it. But there is a final gift I want to do, which is a director's cut of the finale in a few weeks. I'm going to put out, it's got some scenes that I took out. I'm going to put back in because it is a director's cut. There'll be some new visual effects, a new sound mix. I would say, both subtle and obvious, there'll be about 30 changes that, although you'll recognize the story as the finale, it'll be worth your time to check it out. And that's going to be in a couple of weeks. So it's like the series finale, but a director's cut, you know.
We all love a good director's cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a thank you for everyone in a way, because, you know, people like they didn't want it to end. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing was the way YouTube compresses the signal. I had up to 30, 40 tracks of audio. And I noticed that when I posted the first version of it, some of the audio got lost a little bit. A lot of the low tones got like pushed away. So I'm remixing the audio to be more closer to what I see on my final cut. I just think it would enhance it, you know. So yeah, I'm going to make the director's cut. It won't be like you're not going to watch it and say, oh, I've never seen this before. But I think it'll be worth checking out to see if you could spot the differences. And it only will enhance what was there. You know, to me, it'll be like the final word on that. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm not trying to milk it or cheat anyone. It's sort of like a thank you, you know, a thank you.
Right.
What about behind the scenes stuff? Are you going to release any behind the scenes videos?
Steve, you read my mind.
It's almost like we talked before.
Yeah. What happened was, as you can imagine, I have accumulated a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Maybe not as much as like people would think. It's not endless, and a lot of it's boring because it's routine. But there are some really fun moments. I'm probably going to make it like a half-hour special, like the making of, and because I have interviewed cast and crew over the years,
cool.
So I have accumulated some interesting footage, and yeah, so that will come out eventually. I don't know when. I hate to give a timetable because there's a couple of other things that I'm working on. One of the things, and again, I love telling you guys, you get an exclusive. I've been working on an Antyllus book, but because I can't monetize anything Star Trek, it's the same cast and characters, but in a different universal setting. It's not Starfleet. It's not the Star Trek universe. It's my own universe. Same characters though, but they're not Vulcans. You get the idea.
Yeah.
And I was able to utilize. It's a collection of short stories essentially, because there was many scripts that I wrote that I never got to film for my show. So for the first time, people will be able to enjoy the episodes, but in a different format.
Kind
And
of like what Renegades had to do on purpose.
yeah, exactly. So the book is like 85% done, and my editor is looking over what I've done so far. I've got about 300 pages done, and it's probably going to be a second part to it because covering 30 episodes plus, as you can imagine, is a lot to write about. The cool thing about writing is you're not worrying about budget.
Right.
When I'm filming, I'm always editing it down to what I can do. With my writing, it's unlimited. It's like I can keep going and going and going, and also give you backstories that I've always dreamed of for the captain and the other characters that I couldn't do. So if you're a fan of my show, I think you'll really like the book. And on top of that, I am doing a graphic novel, nothing to do with Antyllus. It's a completely original science fiction, kind of a detective science fiction story. Been working on that for several years. And I want to get back to finishing that. I had to put those projects on hold to get my series done. So I am really very busy, even though I'm done on the one level. I'm really not done. So there you go.
Busy. So no Antyllus comic book coming out, George?
No
comic book?
Again, it's Star Trek. So even though I own Antyllus, I don't own the intellectual property rights. I'd have to change it so much. Wow. And believe me, Paramount and CBS, they're not, they pay attention, Yep. I mean, I know I'm a very small fish in their pond, but I've actually been contacted by them over the years. Once in a while, they kind of grumble at me, but at the same time, because I say, well, look, I buy all the official merchandise. Every time you see a phaser or a communicator, it's from your official line of merchandise.
Right.
I buy the uniforms, but the characters are wholly my own. So I'm not using, say, Kirk or Spock or anything. So they kind of like turn a blind eye. But there's been a couple of grumblings over the years. But then they haven't acted on it, which I'm grateful. But yeah, it's kind of scary. Nobody likes to feel that pressure on the back of your neck.
Oh, yeah.
My backup plan was always to finish my show. And if they wouldn't allow me to be public about it, I was just going to send everyone secret links where they could watch it privately.
There you go.
There was no way I was going to leave everyone, hanging. But it's I don't own Star Trek, so even though everything else is original, I can understand them, although to be honest, the quality of their new shows is so poor, I can't see why they hold it against us. They've done more damage to their own brand than anything we could ever do. So there you go.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that I have always liked about not just your stuff, George, but all of you guys, is that your thing is your thing. Your story is your story. When we watch a film, it's like we know we're watching a George film, a Steve film, and a Jose film, and a Jim film. You guys stick to your guns on your look, your feel, your thing. It doesn't change or transition. And I'm sure that all of you have been fighting that urge to pepper in some of the newer stuff. But then you risk changing what it is that makes your films your films. And that's one of the things that I picked up on right away. And it's, I can't even remember when it was. Maybe it's been a couple years ago or so when I first got introduced to all of you guys and started watching all these films. I did pick up, and didn't take long to pick up, that like, yeah, you know whose film you're watching. You could be blindfolded and know it, or have your ears covered. It's just because you guys have your own take and your own flavor. We don't all have the same camera.
Right.
We don't all have the same way that we shoot something or edit something. You know, I may think that I've got a good eye for video and where to do the shot and everything else, but you guys have a different way of doing it. And the thing is that we do things the way we do our things, and resist that pressure to change and to do it differently, because you reach a point where it's like, okay, if I'm going to do a change or anything, I've got to do it within the first couple episodes or so, because if I start getting an audience that they get, you know, latched in, then that core group of people that stay with me, they're the ones that I owe it to them to not suddenly do something that is not what your films are.
I
Does that make
decided
sense?
I decided very early on. I mean, Jose and I share the same universe because we've appeared in each other's,
Yep.
you know, but there's nothing to indicate that, say, my universe is the same one as, say, Jim Kirk's universe. It's
Right.
because I'm dealing with a multiverse. So
Right.
there might be a Jim Kirk in my universe. That doesn't
Sure.
necessarily mean it's the classic TOS Kirk, you know. So I wanted to give myself that latitude. I've had people say, your Star Trek's not canon. It doesn't count. I'll say, well,
No
it's okay
shit.
if you feel that way, because there's nothing to say that my universe isn't unique unto itself.
Right.
And that
Right.
the
You have a
universe that
canon.
you love is its own thing. So it's
Exactly.
ambiguous. It's deliberately ambiguous. You know, Jose and I, we can appear in each other's episodes
Mhm.
because in our universe we share that space. But I
Mhm.
never specifically said what my universe is. So therefore,
Mhm.
the events, you know what I mean? I wanted that
Yeah.
latitude. I wanted that freedom. Just like where my character ended up at the end of my finale. If you haven't seen it, then you might not know what I'm talking about. He doesn't end up in his own universe anymore. He's in a completely different one, and he's on Earth or a Earth 300 years in the past. You know, the Starfleet's not even around yet. So you know, it's the again gives you that freedom to do that.
And
Yeah.
that's oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's
Go ahead,
okay. Each one of us has our own canon with our own universe.
Mhm.
And we
Right.
make allowances for our other fan film friends who are working on films with us to include them in our universe.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, we have our own unique look. I don't mention the only Star Trek character we've kind of mentioned in our series is a Cisco. Okay,
Right.
a Cisco, and I got a weird note from somebody on the video that we did, Jefferson. It was something like, "Oh, that seems like a cop out," you know, throwing out a Star Trek name like that. And I said, "Well, that's one way to look at it, more or less. But hey, it's
Okay.
fan service. It's it is fan service in a way. But I think that was what he was saying, like a cop out fan service kind of move." And I said, it's our homage to Star Trek to
Right.
include this ancestor of Cisco and the actor who played him, who we admire.
Right.
Well,
And they're like, okay, I've subscribed.
Right. Right.
I love Jefferson.
And the thing is that so that character that I created, that I do, is a character I created,
Hmm.
complete with backstory and everything.
Right. And we've
And-
embraced it.
Right. And what that came from was that there was always that desire that, one of these days I would like to be in a Star Trek fan film. I had always wanted to before I even met you guys, but then it became more accessible. I realized it was becoming more accessible. And what I picked up on was, wow, a lot of these guys, they have like their character that they do and everything. So when we see you, we know who you are.
Hmm.
And that's a very narrow window of, you've got to make that decision pretty early on. Otherwise, you can't establish that. And I got to thinking, all right, so let's think this through logically. What are the odds of being able to participate in this stuff? And it seems like a lot of the fan films favor the TOS time period.
Right.
Okay, so I need to be in the TOS time period.
Yep.
I kind of resemble Captain Sisko. black man, no hair, goatee. Oh, you gotta be, Ben Sisko, right? And there's a mismatch, and it's like, you can say that you're not, and assume that people aren't going to look at you and think that, in the back of their heads. Then I realized, you know what? Don't fight it. Here's how we could make it actually work. And I worked backwards from canon sources of Ben Sisko and when he was born, and his father Joseph Sisko when he was born. And okay, how far back do I need to be reasonably in the TOS time period ish, about the same age I am now, and working backwards, it came up to Ben Sisko's great grandfather would place you back enough to make it realistic enough to say it just all kind of fit. It all fit. And again, we're not. It doesn't break or apply to canon, because there's no history in Sisko's character creation that went back any further than his father.
Right.
And plus, we have the multiverse anyway, so it's like it just all of it seemed to fit. And part of the character in the first main appearance is making those calls, kind of, if you're a fan of the content, you kind of see these calls that, like, touch on foreshadowing kind of thing, but that's the thing, is it gives us the ability to create our own universe and our own characters. And I don't believe, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that I believe that any of us, even Josh or Vance, Ray, Alec, Sam, all of those guys, I don't think anybody has planted a flag in the ground and said, my fan films are in the Prime Universe. I don't think so. It's either not directly acknowledging it, or directly making sure to say that there's no reason for you to think that this is the Prime timeline. It's not. Am I wrong? Has anyone gone so far as to say, yes, my fan film world is in the Prime Universe?
The thing is, you want your audience to be comfortable to the degree that they can watch your fan film and not feel it's competing in some way.
Right.
You're definitely going to get people that love Star Trek but only like professional product, for example, and they're going to resent you automatically for playing in their sandbox. But if they feel, oh, wait a minute, it's a different universe, even though it's Star Trek, it's its own thing, it takes some pressure off, because whether they like it or not, it doesn't really matter. If they don't like it, don't watch it, and won't affect what you do love. And if you do like it, great. And again, it doesn't compete with that professional level. Also, I would assume the powers that be would appreciate that too, because in a weird way, you're not competing directly with them. You're not stealing their thunder in any way, because you're saying, well, look, this is where I'm at, and in my universe, So there's been a couple of occasions where a character will mention, I'm from universe, 1468. It's a deliberate way of letting the audience know you're not necessarily watching, say, the William Shatner TOS. That doesn't mean there's not a Kirk in my universe, but it's not the exact Kirk that you might know. But if you want to think that way, there's nothing to say it's not.
Do all of these people not remember the TNG episode where Worf was?
I knew you were going to go there.
All of those different universes, and then all of those shuttles.
Canon. Yeah, canon says multiverse is a very real and established thing now.
Am I the only one that remember that?
No, I got you.
Oh, yeah, that's, for God's sakes, we saw on screen a universe in which the Borg conquered the Federation. And so Star Trek itself firmly established
Yeah.
that there's a multiverse, a big multiverse.
Mhm.
And that was, I don't recall exactly when that episode came out, but TNG was off the air in 94. I think that might have been 7th season. So maybe that was the 93, 94
Yeah, it could have been.
season. So, okay, let's say that, 94 is the cap as to when we had TNG. We know that episode was before then. 1994. So you're gonna come at me sometime after 2012 and be like, "What are you doing in the multiverse? You
Right.
know, what are you doing? You're not in the prime timeline." Did you watch any Star Trek to know that I'm not establishing anything new? That this was already done for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
can
knew
go all
for
the way back to
myself-
Mirror Mirror. I mean, that was an alternate
Yeah.
universe.
Mhm.
Oh
That was-
Jesus,
yeah,
what am I
Warren
saying?
established,
Yeah.
I mean, I knew for myself, like my thinking was, Star Trek is the sandbox I'm playing in,
Mhm.
but ultimately it is a personal story. It is the
Sure.
story of my captain's character.
Right.
But I also wanted to, not in a narcissistic way, but suddenly, like the old saying, like you think the universe revolves around you. I wanted him to find himself in that position, but not understand why in the beginning. Why is all of these things seemingly, resting on his shoulders? Why would it even matter in an infinite universe? So the trick became, you start off with that conundrum. You say, oh, well, he's gay. He's being told, oh, no, you're more important than you think, and everything's revolving around you. So by the time you get to the finale, you need that payoff. You need to have the reason, and then hopefully, if you've been watching the whole show, the finale gives you the definitive answer, and you realize, oh, why was everything reduced to him and him alone? There's a reason for it, So it's kind of cool when you are able to follow through on your idea, and of course, by the end, there's a great reset. So no harm, no foul, So even if you hated my answer, you're still starting off at the beginning again. The
Right.
universe is being restored. So no harm, no foul.
It's kind of a Battlestar Galactica thing to do,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wanted this personal story, and there was some practical reasons for it too. Originally, when I wrote the screenplay, the series Bible, I said, well, whoever's going to play the captain, he's going to have to give me an awful lot of his time, Then I even changed it to a female for a while. I auditioned a bunch of people. But in the end, it was either due to it just wasn't a good fit, or they were not going to be able to give me the kind of time that was needed. And it just seemed people were telling me, especially members of my family, well, for God's sake, why don't you play it? Because, you'll always be available. And
Right.
boy, did that turn out to be true. I mean, how many years later? And I'm like, you know what? I would not have been able to do my show with somebody else.
I think that's a very good point that I completely forgot about is trying to maintain your cast
Yeah.
for that amount of time. I mean, forget about it, because now you can get yourself in a situation where your show is entirely beholden to or hinges on the whims of one person that decides, I walked past somebody in the background of a Pepsi commercial. Now I'm famous and I don't have time for your stuff. And or your main actor is in a time zone 10 hours ahead of you.
Yes.
So you're never able to get anything to work. And so your entire series ends up hinging on something that's outside of your control. And I think
I'll tell you this, about 2015 was the last time I had my cast together, and I filmed everything. I filmed scenes that were going to take me all the way up to the finale.
Wow.
And then it's a good thing I did that, because after 2014, people were leaving the country, they were getting married, they were having kids. So I had to use special matting techniques to put me in the environment of footage that old. There's many scenes in the finale that are that old. They're from 2014. So it became very, very tricky to, and again, that's another reason why it's good to map out your story. So even though there's been twists and turns, but I was able to use that old footage. And that's true for every single episode in my show. There's scenes in it where it's like, it's that old. But again, because it's the same camera, same material making the sets, they fit is perfect, whether you shoot it a month ago or
Mhm.
2014. So
No
that,
wonder. No
Yeah.
You
wonder
can
you had to
always get
lock.
somebody to do a voiceover, you know.
Right.
yeah, but it's really tough. My cast is really even when I was announcing my finale, I think I reached only 5% of my cast. People just don't are not in
Wow.
touch, or you send them the email and they don't get back to you. They might
Mhm.
Right.
never get back. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about it. They're scattered every which way. So
Yep.
yeah, that's the tricky thing. It's in the editing to be as faithful as you can and to provide the illusion that everybody's in that room together. But yeah, honestly, I laugh because I shot stuff up to the last month, up to a month ago for my finale. But everyone else, the majority was shot in 2014. So
That's
that was
insane.
yeah.
That's like you walking around in the engineering room all day for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, what do you think I'm using that
I'll
for?
give you.
I'll have that
I
forever.
hate to
Right.
pull the curtain away from the magic, but if you look carefully, because the captain is dying, his character, I was
Right.
able to at least come up with a reason why he's aging, getting grayer,
Yep.
and the doctor too. My actor, my brother-in-law played the doctor. We were the only one, and my daughter. We were the only ones that were filming all the way up to the end. Everyone else is from 2014 or around
Wow.
that time. So we're the only ones that age. If you watch our show,
Right.
but that's the reason. I mean, believe me, if I could get everyone together and keep filming with them, I would have.
Mhm.
It
Oh, yeah.
just became an impossibility, and I don't have the technology, as you saw, to do a green screen setup, especially when they're not even living in this country to try to direct them. So
Right.
the point was to map out my story, remain faithful. So it's the same camera, same material that made my sets. So I'm able to mat scenes together,
Yeah.
put things together. Sometimes it was very tricky. I had to almost rotoscope some people in a frame where they were not there. So it's very tricky and a ton of work. But if nobody knows about it, I don't mind telling you guys now because the
Right.
show's over. But yeah, many, many hours of work to make it look like there's no work, if you know what I mean.
Never. And Leslie even said it. Hit it right on hit the nail right on the head. There is no way that anybody would have thought that
Yeah.
we were looking at any footage that old.
It's weird. It's
That's
weird.
still-
magic. It's
I've
magic.
occasionally run into some of my castmates that I haven't filmed with since back then, family gatherings or,
Right.
and it's shocking when you don't see them like on a daily basis. And you're like, oh my God, if I did film with you, you look very, very different,
Yeah.
So
Well, no wonder you had to keep your technology locked in.
Right.
Yeah,
that
that's
period.
part of it. That's part of it. Yeah,
Because
but
you-
like I said, I have this weird obsessiveness about knowing my own story, which is
Right.
why I wrote and directed everything, with the exception of 2 episodes which were co-written. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that but again, I always made sure it stayed on its course, to do that. But yeah, it wasn't the way I wanted to go. It was the only way I could go, and I didn't want to do something that I wanted people to feel like they knew those characters. I didn't want to
Mhm.
keep revolving, even though in real life there would be different ships and different
Sure.
people. That would make complete sense. But I don't. There's something about, remember, the living room mentality. The family. I wanted to keep everyone together as long as I can. But yeah, they've written to me over the years, going, "I forgot I filmed that. Oh my God!" Or they'll see something, and they'll be like, "Wow," or they'll forget entirely. There'll be a scene. They're like, "I forgot I did that." But yeah, that's the hard truth of it. Really, guerrilla filmmaking. That's what it
Mhm.
is.
Good.
Planning ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get some final thoughts from each of you before we wrap up on this amazing work that was the finale for Starship Antyllus. So, Jose, why don't you lead us off in closing? We'll each
Okay.
close out with any last thoughts or questions and kind of go around the room and then call it a night.
All right. That sounds like a plan. Okay. Starting off, George, I have to say I admire your enthusiasm doing all these wonderful films. I mean, I remember when I was in the military and active duty watching these things. See, guy, he got a whole crew together and he's filming. My God. I said, this is incredible. It's you grab and the mask. that alien. I'm still
Mhm.
all inspired by that alien mask. The one
Oh,
with
the Sharp.
Yes.
it's just simple, but it works.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah, but I wanted to get my daughter in there, to have my daughter, be a part. But Sharp was originally only supposed to be in one episode, which was episode 12. And people loved the character. I
yeah.
mean, it really made me rethink it. And then I said to my daughter, if you're willing to put the mask on, because it's hot, it's uncomfortable. And she goes, yeah, I'll come back as many times as you want. I said, all right, I'm making you part of the crew. You're going to be in all the episodes. So, yeah, it kind of organically happened. But originally it was only supposed to be a one shot. And it's a risk because the mask doesn't move,
Mhm.
So
Right.
I said, let's create the bracelet, the telepathic thoughts,
Mhm.
and hopefully the audience will understand that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, but
It
thank
worked
you,
great.
Jose. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yep.
that like the simplest stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really beautiful. And the other one is I would say is just doing your own thing. It's like, well, this guy is doing his own thing. I mean,
Yeah.
he's doing the George K thing, and
Mhm.
making his own films his own way, like New
Right.
York, Frank Sinatra. I did it. Hey, that's awesome. That's so beautiful, and,
Oh.
and yeah, just fantastic. It's
Jose, I can't thank you enough. I'm glad we've been in each other's work. I mean, your love and support has just blown me away, and yeah, now I'm very honored, deeply honored, and for all you guys, if anyone enjoys the work, really, can you ask for anything better than that? If people walk out of a $300 million movie and they go, yeah, who cares? I mean, what chance do you have if you don't be emotionally honest? So if people like your characters, I've had people say they really cried during the finale, that it moved them emotionally.
Mm.
There's no higher compliment, because you're not doing something to fool somebody. You're trying to entertain. You're trying to bring closure. You're trying to say thank you. And
Right.
so everything that I get, whether it's a compliment or somebody even takes the time to watch, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Words are very limiting. I can only say thank you so many times, but it's really from the bottom of my heart. I can't thank all of you enough.
There it is. Yeah, and the last thing is I love the ending of the family scene.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah. That's great.
Mind blowing.
It was.
That was actually, Jose, the first thought I had when I created the story. I always start, this is the way I work backwards. I always have an ending of an ending of an ending. And then it becomes, well, how did we get here? And then I
Mhm.
work backwards. I reverse engineer it. And that's just the way I work. Even when I write or do my graphic novels, I always need to see the destination, and then I can think of the journey. So yeah, that family scene. I mean, originally, because my daughter was just born, when I was thinking of the original idea, she was going to be a baby in it. But by the time I finally got around to filming it, she was a teen. So I just modified it. I said still family, but she now, it also gives the audience the realization that he's been on this earth for at least 15, 16 years. It's
Wow.
because Natalie says, oh, our anniversary's coming up, and you could see her age. So you now know, without overspelling it, how long he's been in this other reality with his family.
Right.
So I always try to treat my audience intelligently, but give them enough information that they can extrapolate and say, oh, okay, he didn't just arrive. This is his new home, his new reality. And I always knew I was going to end it on the future, like looking up at the stars. That was the very first thing that popped in my head. He looks up, he says the future. I said, that's the money shot.
Yeah. But I think you did good. In fact, I always tell my cast that fan films are an investment in the future.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
10 years from now, you can look at your fan films and say, wow, I did that.
It's a lot of work. I mean, all of you guys know.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so much work. I've worked so hard, not to toot my own horn. I'm just talking about like physically, mentally, the amount of hours that people just don't see. They only see the final product. I am so burnt out, but in a good way. I lived long enough to get my finale out. It's like a relief.
Wow.
And if people enjoy it, it's like, okay, mission accomplished. And, I plan on doing many of the short films that I've written over the years. They're very Twilight Zone. They're very sci-fi, but I want to play in other sandboxes. Like really original stuff that I've written. And I love Star Trek, always will. But, I had over 30,000 views in my early episodes. I had a huge audience. And now I'm lucky I get 2,000 views or 3,000. I'm not complaining, but it's time. I didn't want to overstay my welcome. Obviously, the audience has dwindled to the hardcore fan base, and I'm fine with that. But it's time to go. I didn't want to stay so long that I end up with 20 viewers who don't care. I also planned it this way, at a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I still love Star Trek. It's not that I don't. I love all of you guys, but you have to know when to walk away. It was my time. I've been doing it 1992 to now. That's a long time to do Star Trek.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It really is. Jim, how about you? Any closing thoughts, questions, observations?
Well, I've been watching George's videos since day one.
Yes.
I watch every single one that he did, and I got some ideas from that. That's when I started doing my fan film.
Very honored. Thank you.
And thanks to Vance Major for giving me the lines to be in George's film. I was very honored to do that.
Yeah.
It was good. I wish I could have done more. But yeah, you did a very good job.
If I lived closer to you guys, I would have, like if I lived in your neighborhood, know darn well you all would have been in all my episodes. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's just that I'm so far away from everyone. Yeah. And, my story is so insular that, like anytime I had a chance to get one of you in it, that's the way I went, But I'm remote. I'm like an island unto myself, But I love all the work you guys do. It's always a joy, and I'm deeply honored. Thank you so much for watching.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Wow.
Steve, that leaves us with you.
Steve.
I can't express how much I admire what you've accomplished. I started out in the 70s, had a career in the military for 20 years, had a real job for almost 20 years, and then got back, Thank you. So I got back into it, and there's just, being an analog man, how much of a difference it makes from moving to Super 8 to video to digital. Okay. Yep. And had an uphill climb, but now, after 3 years, we're on top. So, and part of that is the inspiration I got from you and, Vance Major and Joe. Yep. You guys came before me and you helped us out, and I appreciate it. And the inspiration is right there in the middle. So thank you.
Great.
And I really enjoy your start. It's a merger of Star Trek, Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, seriously. And it's science based. Yeah. That, but it's real people stories. And that is what Star Trek was all about in the first place.
I always knew it was going to be character driven, first. Right. And then it became playing out its own internal logic. I am just really big on the philosophy of many things, where truth lies, science. And I also love that saying, I think it was Arthur C. Clarke that coined it, where if science is advanced enough, it seems like magic.
Right.
And I always took that to heart. So even when things looked magical, I wanted to explain it was simply beyond our comprehension, that this alien technology looks like magic, but there is a science behind it,
Right.
And I didn't want my character to be perfect. I did want him to be the catalyst for the audience to go, I don't know what this is. I just know that they keep telling me I'm important. All right,
Right.
He's in over his head many times, which is why I had Gordon and other characters constantly keep him on track and to give him information he normally wouldn't have access to.
Right.
So that was the structure. And
that's the way it is with a lot of real life heroes.
Yeah. I can't do everything yourself, right?
Why are you focusing on me? I'm.
Yeah.
And they're like, because you don't get it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really?
The one thing I didn't want to do, honestly, at least, and I'm being as completely honest as I can, I think Alan's arc is done as far as that time period. I don't mind playing him again if it's earlier than that.
Right.
But from where the finale leaves him, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, if anyone wants me in their fan film and it's earlier than that, I have no problem. I will gladly do it. But I have to be true to my continuity as far as
Absolutely.
where this guy ended up. It's important to me that he ends up before Starfleet with his family. He's done everything for king and country, and that's where he is. But yeah, I don't want to shut the door. Like, I don't want anyone to feel that I can't ever play the character again. It just, as long as it's clear that it's earlier
It's
in the
locked
show.
into a
You know what I
time
mean?
zone. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say no to anyone. I love everyone. It's just I want to be faithful to. I would like negate it. If he suddenly showed
Right.
up in later time periods, it would be like, oh, okay, what was the big deal? So I wanted the closure to feel real.
Right.
It was kind of like how in The Flash at the very end. Now, for anyone who has not seen The Flash,
Spoiler.
cover your ears right
I
now.
haven't seen it yet, but it's okay. You can say it.
Ah, damn. Okay, so
I have it. I do own it. I just haven't seen it.
The end of the Flash was there was a possibility that it was going to broach what you just said, where you take something that this is supposed to be how this ends up or this finality, and then cheapen it,
right?
With a reoccurrence or something. Without spoiling it for you, I think once you see it, then I can tell you more as to what the behind the scenes was. But so what I'll say is, I am glad that I was able to be a part of Starship Antyllus and your story. Yes,
you were really good, Jefferson. You were really good.
I'll get out of here with that. No,
I do. There were some things that you did, subtle things. Like I love the one moment when you're looking down at your hands. Your hands are steepled. You're thinking, and then you start talking before you look up. I love stuff like that. That's why I knew when you did that was the take that was going in, because it gives it a believability.
Right.
I didn't even realize I did that.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
he
it's
does
great.
it. Yeah, he does it a lot.
Wow.
Go back and watch the videos you've done, and you will see it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know the scene.
Yeah.
And he's looking down and he's thinking, and that's the thing you want. You don't want, no matter how much you appreciate your guest stars, you want them to think in the moment. It has to look like they're reacting and providing information.
I don't even. That must be a tick. Because it's one of those things that you're just completely unconscious of it, and it becomes like that. That's that thing that person does.
Yeah.
Is
maybe you were thinking of the line. It's possible, but I knew when I was editing it. I said, "Oh, he has given me a beautiful moment, and you got to use it." It's just like when I filmed with Jose. It's like he gives you those moments, and you're like, "Oh, that's the take, that's the look, that's the moment I want." Because the worst thing is if you get someone and they're trying to do the lines, but they're script locked. It's not in their head, and their eyes are kind of reading the script. And what happens is, it's not that you don't appreciate them, but the audience zeroes in instinctually. They say, "Oh, wait a minute, they're not in that moment." So as an editor, you try to make your guest stars look as good as they can, and you don't want to take the audience out. You want the audience to say, "Oh, that guy's a professional." Yes, I understand.
Like, are you in the moment or are you reading?
Yeah, and your character was a superior character to mine in rank, so it was very important that there'd be not only that respect, but a little bit of because your character was also giving me a heads up about how other people might feel about him, but talking in code. So there was a lot of subtext, which I love. So yeah, you want all of those things, all those elements to play out as much as you can. You don't want to hit people over the head with a sledgehammer, but you want them to feel the vibe, what you're going for. But yeah, that moment when you are in thought and then you're doing your lines, that's gold, and you can't predict it. I mean, you can direct someone, say, look at your hand. You want it natural. And that choice that you did, whether it's subconscious or not, that's honesty. That's what you look for. Every moment should be as honest as it can be. And your audience goes, "I'm in. I'm all in."
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I've got a new mannerism to be self-conscious about and
Oh,
wonder how often I do. So yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's real behavior. It's
Yeah.
real. Jose will tell you too. It's like
It's
you're
normal.
sitting in the captain's chair. What do? Is it all arms? Do you cross your legs?
That's
These
right.
are all decisions that
That's-
you have to figure out.
Oh, I gotta share a story here since you're on that subject.
Yeah,
On the subject of cameos, right?
yeah.
George, for Bomber Girl, I said, George, get into the military uniform, get yourself behind green screen and then do your act. And then what do I get? I get a full size World War II set that he built with his own hands.
I could do no less for you, Jose. I could do no less. It was my honor, Jose. It was my honor. I knew how hard you worked on that. Bomber Girl was so much work that I just felt, you know what? I didn't want to green screen it, and I'm not knocking anyone that does.
Right.
For me, my process is I act better in a real environment. So I did some research, got the old phone, got the lamps, and you gave me the uniform. So, you sent me halfway there,
Yeah, building your whole set. But there's more to the story, folks. Listen to that. So, I feel bad about George for this, okay? He shot it, right? It's so beautiful, right? And then I said, oh no, George, there's just this flaw. And he said, oh no, I tore down the sets.
Oh no.
I read the wrong. I acted the scene, but I was doing for the wrong character.
Oh.
So I thought I did a good job, and then Jose got back to me. He's like, yeah, you read for the wrong character. You got to be the other guy." I said, "Oh God!" I said, so I had to rebuild everything, but that's part of the process. That's part of the process, And so then I finally got it right,
But you have to find all this stuff because I remember you told me you tore the whole set down and then you figure out where it is, right? Where's the light? Where's everything?
Yeah. Thank God I hung on to the phone and the lamp and Yeah. No, I for any one of you guys, I always give it my all. I never take it lightly. I'm always deeply honored if someone asks for your time. That's just the way I'm built. It's just automatic. If I say yes, then I'm all in for you as much as I can be.
Wow.
I know Josh asked me to do a cameo in one of his upcoming films, and he goes, "Oh, can you get the other kind of uniform, not your typical one?" And I didn't even hesitate. I ordered it online. It cost you a couple of bucks, but even though it's like one or two lines, I said yes, so I'm going to do it. So even though it costs you a few, but it's okay. It's you don't do it for the attention. You do it because what's your integrity? Your integrity is you said yes. You want to support someone, you do it.
Yeah.
And any one of you guys, that's just the way I'm built because you've done it for me, and how can I do any less? When you've been there for me.
I think we've all got closets full of uniforms that were used for a couple of years. We've all got it.
God, yeah.
They multiplied.
I could open mine up and be like, this was 2 lines, this was 4 lines, this was 1 line, this is not used yet. And
I should just wear my uniforms whenever I go shopping now, just because I have it,
You know what, though? Anymore these days, I don't think anyone would really,
notice.
No.
I got to say, though, whenever I shot on location, and I had the captain's uniform on, people really did stop and look.
Oh, yeah.
I've had cars actually, that were driving by, they'll stop, they reverse. They're like, "Oh, you're doing some kind of Star Trek thing?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, But it is true. The uniform seems great, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced that too. It's like the uniform is unlike anything, at least the original TOS. It's kind of weird. It kind of stands out. And people who know it, or even if they don't know it, they know something is off. Like, what is that?
Yeah, right. It is very, very funny you say that. So last Friday, I was last week I was in California, in San Francisco, for a vendor conference for one of the vendors we work with. And I wanted to meet up with other co-hosts of Beyond Trek podcast with Dag, because we'd been podcasting together for years. But you know how it is. You don't meet anybody in person because you live all over the place.
Exactly.
That's what the internet lets you be able to do.
Right.
And even being in San Francisco, it was still like a 2-3 hour drive for him because California is massive. And, trying to plan the flight and all that, it was like he took a day off from work, which was great. Like, thanks for doing that. But we got to meet in person and take some pictures together, do some stuff. And we're in our uniforms at this random In and Out in Alameda.
Oh, wow.
And someone drives
Alameda.
by. Yeah, we
exactly.
found the naval base in Alameda.
Nuclear
Somebody-
weapons.
Yeah,
There you go.
where they keep the nuclear vessels. Somebody drove by in their car, yelled, "Live long and prosper."
Ah, nice.
And I'm like, really? And it's not that a Star Trek uniform is completely unknown to people, but a random Friday afternoon at an In-N-Out Burger in Alameda, wearing a uniform, and someone rolls down their window while driving by and of course we give them the Vulcan salute, but it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So we're out there. We're out
Yeah.
there. We're all over the place.
yeah.
I mean,
I
our individual work will hopefully be sort of our legacy. Like you don't do it for that reason, but that hopefully is a side effect or
Right.
an after effect. Somewhere down the line, maybe someone that's never seen anything will just say, "Oh, what is this?" I mean, the only bad thing for me is since I'm serialized, if someone stumbles upon, I don't know, episode 9 first, they're going to be lost a little bit.
Well, of
They're gonna be
course.
like, what's going on? Hopefully they'll go back to the beginning and catch up. But it is a risk. But again, you can't overly think it, And if you do your show as separate things, well, you have a built-in advantage because then anyone can come in at any point, and But yeah, there's a little bit of homework with my show. I knew it was a risk, but you got to be true to yourself. I would say to anybody, if I had to give advice, come up with your story, be faithful to it. Don't try to swindle anyone. Be as honest as you can. If you have a story to tell in the Star Trek sandbox, don't be ashamed of that. Go for it, And if it's not a good fit for Star Trek, still do it. Just don't make it Star Trek. If you feel your story doesn't fit, those parameters, But I am an admirer of all of you beautiful people.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. And on behalf of Beyond Trek Podcast, I want to thank everyone that came out this evening
thanks, guys.
join.
Yep.
Yes, to show support for George and to be on this guest panel. Thank you guys for coming. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And no short notice, but you guys delivered, which was great.
Don't forget, in a couple of weeks, guys, I'm going to be putting out the series finale, the director's cut.
Yep.
All right, which will be different than the current version, in many ways. So I'm going to invite everyone back for that, but it's going to be a couple of weeks while I prep it.
Okay.
Great, excellent. And we had several others that wanted to be here that time on the road. I'm at work. I'm heading to work. I'm here or there. But you expect that. I gave people about a 50-minute notice, but you guys are great. Thank you for being able to be available.
If any one of you want to contact me, write to me or whatever, please. I will get back to you. Even if it's not immediate, I will get back to you. Right. And you too, Jefferson. I hope this is not our last podcast together.
No, definitely not. I'm definitely very behind. I'd like to get back to being able to talk with the creators on their new stuff, things like that. Is just that's a whole other story. How I got waylaid and shellacked last year with work and everything else. It's
you look great, man. You really look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Live long and prosper.
Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.